I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe.
All right, I'm here. SCDHL, can you hear me? Let me type it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know if anybody can hear me. Oh, okay, let's see. I'm playing it back in the ears here. So that means you guys can hear what I hear now. I don't know. Oh, you can hear me. Wondermus. Wondermus. Okay, so let's just go over the story one more time. I'm so glad that you are here. All right, so I don't know how much you guys missed, and I don't know what you heard. So we just got to do it all over again. But here's what I do want to say. From earlier today, when we did the story and we were talking about the fact that I said, well, you know what, unless I find something else about her, then I'm going to have to go with the fact that it looked like she was pretty good. She's crazy. I'm not a physician, and I'm not saying that this is just, not the last time around, but this time for sure. Good. Glad you can hear me. Here's the skinny. The deal is that, let me just read the story because I just don't understand how you could get to the point where you would just be mentally that, oh boy. Here we go, you guys. Okay. So Cherysse Cleveland, a woman in McDonald's fight, served time for assaulting her grandmother. Cherysse Cleveland, the woman who is facing charges of assault after brawling with a staff at McDonald's restaurant. Let's make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me now? I want to make sure that when I go back over here, StreamYard is canceled. I'm sorry, they're canceled. They get auto pay though. So anyway, that just went past. So I got to make sure I cancel them for next month. Anyway, so Cherysse Cleveland, the woman who was facing charges of assault after brawling with her staff at McDonald restaurant in Ravinia, Ohio, has previously served time in prison for assaulting her grandmother, as reported by 19 News. Cleveland was arrested on Monday after getting into an altercation at McDonald's. She became upset when the staff told her that they could not mix 3 slushy flavors together. She went behind the counter to try to make her own drink. A witness filmed the incident and shared it on Facebook. They shared the entire video on Facebook, where it has been viewed more than 2.6 million times at the writing of the news report. The video appears to show Cleveland attacking 2 members of the staff before the police respond to the scene. And they seem to place her in the handcuffs. Now, here comes the juicy piece, the creepy part. Okay, so it says now Cleveland was arrested and now faces 2 counts of misdemeanor assault. Early Thursday morning, 19 News reported that Cleveland was charged with felonious assault, kidnapping, and disrupting public service in 2014. A criminal complaint says that she caused, quote, serious physical harm to Rebecca F. Biggers by throwing her to the ground and repeatedly hitting her with her hands and her fists. So that would also go into elder abuse, right? Yeah, I think it would. So this is not good. All right. So it also says that when the victim was lying down on the ground after the initial attack, the defendant grabbed a glass lamp, stood over the victim, and threw the lamp onto her body. At the time, Cleveland asked the judges for leniency and wrote in a letter, quote, I'm not an evil or bad person. I had some very difficult things going on in my life, and I did not mean to assault my grandmother. In my mind at the time, I thought I was fighting the devil. Now, I don't know why they would even let her out for that. That phrase alone would have had me say, well, you know what? I tell you what, you go ahead on and you kick it here a little bit longer. And we see if good old Satan gonna pop up again. And if he does, then we'll deal with that situation. But if he don't, we're going to have to help you get yourself together. Well, they went ahead and they complied. So the rest of the story says that she said she thought that she was, fighting the devil. And it says probation from you is the request, she says. I would like to get back into the community and help in every way possible, she says. In another judge's letter, she wrote, mental illness strongly runs in my family and why I'm in jail. I had a nervous breakdown due to the death of my mother, she says, continuing in her writing. And you know, I assaulted my grandmother. This is the reason why, she says. I was not of sound mind and body before the incident. I worked at my job for 16 years and I tried to be a good citizen, end quote. Cleveland eventually pleaded guilty to felonious assault, but the charges of kidnapping and disrupting public service were dismissed. The judge granted a request to have Cleveland attend a drug and alcohol counseling program while she was in prison. According to 19 News, in March of 2015, she was sentenced to 2 years in prison after 3 years of probation following her release. She received credit for 217 days spent in Portage County Jail. In December 2015, it was determined that Cleveland would be released from prison early under judicial release, on the condition that she attend counseling and that she takes her prescribed medication and has no contact with her grandmother unless other adults are in attendance. Now, Cleveland faces 2 counts of misdemeanor assault for the incident at McDonald's. So she cannot be around her grandmother without any other adults. I hope her grandmother is still alive and she's okay. She cannot come around other adults, and in tandem with with being around her grandmother without adults, and she cannot go to McDonald's, and she certainly cannot accost in any way, shape, or form the people who work at that McDonald's. What do you think about that? SCDHL, what you think about that? That is a hot mess, right? You said I would have held her for a psych evaluation, most assuredly. That's exactly what they should have done. And now $1,000 for the bond or for the bail that she had this time. I think that bail, based on the fact that she attacked her own grandmother, should have been much higher. Yeah, I said that. It should have been much higher. I know somebody's going to get upset. Well, you just mean. You always take the side of the white people. I'm not taking the side of anybody, but I can almost tell you what's going to be said before it's said, because I saw what was said the last incident that we covered, where we were talking about someone behaving badly. And again, I don't care what color you are. If you're behaving badly, you're going to hear it. And if you're black, you're definitely going to hear it, because you should not be cutting up like that. That's how I feel. So with that said, that's the follow-up to the story. And it's not a good one. It's just not a good follow-up at all. I mean, it's just not a good situation. But this young lady who went off at the McDonald's has had some type of bad run-in. Now, wow, what do you say to that? Here's what I'm going to say in part. I really am, because I do have some people in my family that are mentally not well. Okay. And hi, Jen G. How are you doing? And I think that, right now it's really, really possibly even worse, because you just came off of a whole 1-year time period where people, they can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. They have to stay in the house. Some were able to get around them. But let's just imagine, I think up there in Ohio, I don't think it was I don't think they had that much movement. Did they? I don't think they did. But the issue for me is the fact that mental health facilities have really become a thing of the past. I mean, there are still some around. We all know that that's the truth. There are. But if you remember, after the Obama administration got a hold to sort of, defunding a lot of those organizations or those places, and then got, a lot of them closed, the federal ones, the state ones weren't getting any funding. And so you just have a handful of places. But a lot of that has left a lot of people mentally unwell on the earth, walking the streets of the United States. This lady, I don't think that they should have given her $1,000 bail. I think her bail should have been much higher than that, right? That's what I think. Well, folks, you know what? It is late, and you can hear the little one that took a nap, which he shouldn't have, and he's up. Yeah, I'm doing it all over again. So I appreciate each and every one of you, all four of us who are here together, chit chatting and talking. I thank you. But I just wanted to bring that to you guys and bring it to your attention that, yeah, she did have some issues. And remember earlier, I told you if we find something else, then I'll go on ahead and I'll bring it out. SCDHL 2.0 says after Ronald Reagan closed Lantern Man State Hospital back in the 80s, I remember seeing an escalation of people with mental health issues roaming the neighborhood, most assuredly. And you know what's so sad, SCDHL 2.0, because a lot of times, a lot of the folks that you see roaming are people who were either later diagnosed when they were too old or just were not able. I mean, I have a child and he was not able to be diagnosed until like now, but now you'd have to actually put him in for a 72-hour hold. And unfortunately, if they're not a harm to themselves or to anybody else, they're just there. They don't, a lot of people are not able to get Social Security to get them any help financially, unless, of course, you come here illegally across the border without permission. Then you can get Social Security that you and I worked for. Yeah, we've seen those cases, right? But it's just a sad state of affairs that our unhealthy people are not able to get the mental health help that they need. I think a lot of times they get put in jail. And when they get put in jail, it doesn't do them any good because all she's going to do is get out. She's learned how to cope. Obviously, she's learned how to cope just to be able to get along. You know what I'm saying? To say the right things at that moment that she's in the remorseful stage. But the truth of the matter is that if they saw fit for her to have some type of mental health help and take medication, possibly see a therapist, that they knew she needed help. To put somebody like that in jail, not now, because right, what she did the other day, she deserved to go somewhere. But in general, just in general, they're not getting the help that they need. And so you find these people who are really easily being led astray by whatever it is that they're hearing in their mind and the problems that they're having. And it's just not good. They're walking around and they're just not healthy at all. They're just not healthy. That's really sad. There's no help available. None. I agree, Jen G says. There's none. There and jail isn't the answer at all, except for the fact that what we need to look at when it comes down to the jails and things of that nature is how many of the people who are incarcerated are literally working there for like $1 or $2 per day or $1, you know what I mean, like little or nothing, but their work is being put into what organizations are using every day. Jail has become a very big business. If they can get enough people to stack it, then they can, funnel these different job descriptions through to most of the privatized prisons, which is, I believe, another reason why they may be pushing for privatized prisons. But it's a way for them to get a lot of money with very little investment in labor, okay, or even having to follow the labor laws. Why? Because, well, you got that one amendment that says that slavery is abolished, but for being in prison. And so you find yourself now in an American nightmare because we have more incarcerated people than any other country, than Russia, than China, we've got a lot of people who are incarcerated here in the United States. And somebody might get upset. I don't really care. But I will say this. If you don't like it, it's the truth. You don't have a problem with me. You have a problem with reality. Hence, you need help too. Okay. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, you can't say this and you can't say that, but I told you guys what I felt about that earlier. The truth of the matter is yes, we are privatizing prisons so that the prisons or the people who own the prisons can make money. Plain and simple. From everything from somebody says Bob Barker. I said the other day, yes, Bob Barker, all the stuff that's in there. Here we are right here. SCDHL says Bob Barker owns Aramark and they supply all the jails with mattresses and commissary. Yes, it has become a big business. That's correct. Yes, that's correct. And that's how they're able to listen. In the state of California, They actually prolonged the individuals who were supposed to get released a few years ago. You go ahead and do the math on this one. A few years ago, they were supposed to be getting out, and some of those individuals that were supposed to get out, their then attorney general prevented a great deal of people from getting out to the tune of almost a year to a year and a half. So Bobby was supposed to be out in January. You didn't see him until maybe that next year. Yeah. So they held that off, and they had little emails that were floating around not long ago showing exactly how they had something to do with all of that. So it's big business. We've got people like this woman and others that are walking around that really should be getting some type of help, and they're not. But you look at the opposite of that, and you got folks coming from different countries who are literally able to get their Social Security. Literally, they just cleared out of prison in Texas. They're in the midst of clearing out of prison in Texas just to make space for illegal people. Yeah, that part. So it's just not a pretty scene. Alzamala says, well, they need not give people with child molesters. Okay. They should get the death sentence. And that would help unload the jails. Much like prisons in Halliburton, big business. Yes, absolutely. Some of these people are given life and should just be given the death sentence. You know what? I know a lot of people don't like certain laws, but I think that we really got to look at, there's one set of laws that are that cut and dry. You know, if you do this, then this should happen. If you do that, then that should happen. I know that back in Noah's day, they had some laws that were pretty heavy duty. They're Middle Eastern, and I know it seems like it might be a good thing, but I'll tell you right now, a lot of those types of laws can possibly cause a lot of problems for Americans across the board. We're not used to some of those harsh things. And then there's a lot of times that our system is just set up on getting bodies in the place. And so if it's set up on getting a lot of bodies in the place, it's not necessarily going to connect all the dots. It's not going to do its due diligence to make sure that they're only getting people inside those places who are guilty. I know you know of a lot of people who said that they were innocent, and then later you see some stories where they find incidents where there are people who were innocent. They were not guilty. They were innocent, right? And they ended up being in there for several years. Well, when it comes down to the money of it, you know what I'm saying? When it comes down to the money of it, that's exactly what they're looking at. So we're coming up on 17 minutes and 42 seconds here. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for, coming back, and let's look at this, looking at the Cherysse Cleveland situation, following up on that story that we did earlier. And yes, we did find some good stuff on Raza Malice. You said there are a lot of sex offenders they know will repeat, and they let them out. Yep, you're absolutely right. They know that there is no way that jail can reform a mental health issue like that, because the person is nuts and crazy. All right. All right, folks, I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Thank you very much. And y'all take care. Remember what we always say here on this channel, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. Y'all take care, and take care of one another. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day.